How's everybody doing this evening? Well, the live stream tonight is going to be about the federal budget. Okay, this is absolutely insane what's going on in this country, and where the federal government is just creating money out of nothing. And our unborn children are going to pay for it. Just anyway, I'm just gonna. It may be a little bit of a rant, but I'm getting awful sick and tired of this because I remember hearing the guff when Ronald Reagan went over $1 trillion in debt. And anyway, we're gonna discuss that, the federal budget. Okay. Anyway, it's bad. It's bad when they don't even care about deficits. But anyway, I'll say that I gotta talk here for about a minute and a half. So if you're waiting for the subject going in about 2.5, 3 minutes into it, and we can get started with the subject. But anyway, hope everybody's gonna have a good Memorial Day weekend. And try to think of what's important. Maybe if we would celebrate peace a little bit, we won't have to mourn so much on Memorial Day. That'd be a good thing. We should have a day where we celebrate peace. That would be good. May 7th, VG Day, victory over Germany. Why don't we celebrate those days? But anyway, celebrate peace. That'd be cool. But anyway, if you like the content of the channel, I wouldn't mind if you hit the like button and subscribe. YouTube's being kind of tough on me, but I try to put out good content, and I realize YouTube's about entertainment too, and I do put out shorts and stuff dealing with entertainment. Go to my shorts, and you might like some of them. May make you laugh or even smile. Animals can always get a smile out of you. But anyway, hey, how's it going, Kathy? Kathleen. Anyway, let's get on the subject about the budget. Okay, now I grew up, I remember when Ronald Reagan went over $1 trillion in the budget, in the federal budget. And that was, I believe, October 16th, 1983. And all the stuff that was said about how we're never going to be able to pay back the debt, all this stuff. Okay, and that was just $1 trillion. And he got hammered for it, but you should have. Okay, we shouldn't be spending money we don't have. What's up, Four Eyes? Anyway, so we went over $1 trillion. That was 42 years ago. Okay, and all the stuff that was said, all the bad things that were going to happen to this country because we went so much in debt and stuff. Anyway, that was then. Now we're dealing with today's budget that Trump wants to pass, where it says it's going to add $2 trillion for the next 10 years, $20 trillion over the next 10 years onto the federal deficit. Do you have any gold or silver stocked up? No, I don't, because I have skills. Good thing you brought up gold and silver, okay? Now, I'm not a big deal on money. When I have greenbacks, I sit there and I spend it on stuff where I can learn skills or buy something that's going to help me survive and stuff. But gold, the only problem is, like I say, I'm going to have my chickens and my animals and stuff, and you come up to me with gold, okay, and people are starving. Do you think I'm going to sit there and starve over gold? People need to have it so we can restart the financial system. But as we're going through SHTF, gold and silver, just ain't going to be worth what other people think it's going to be worth. But it's going to be needed to restart the system, okay? And then maybe you'll be a banker one day. But no, I do skills, okay? I have lots of skills. I always love learning new stuff. But anyway, let's get into the budget again. Okay, so Donald Trump's what he wants is to add $20 trillion over the next 10 years to the budget. I mean, the thing is, okay, Donald Trump, you spent money like a drunken sailor with the first time. So you're saying this is just going to add $6 trillion to the debt while you're in there? That's just with this budget. That's not counting the stuff, the trillions of dollars that were going to go in debt normally that year. So what's he bucking for? 12, 15 trillion dollars he's going to add to the deficit? How is this not criminal? Where is the 20 trillion claim coming from? I don't know. They're going to print it out of thin air. You know, it's just ones and zeros these days. It's counterfeiting. If a dollar's not earned or made somehow through interest or whatever, or through sweat on your brow, it's not worth anything. They're printing monopoly money. Look how much everything costs. Oh, gas has gone down. Whoop-de-doo. Mountain RC Farms. Well, hello. Hey, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Get the word going. Anyway, you said he wanted to add 20 trillion when he did. What did he say that? Where did he pull that? No, it's like the new budget he wants to. He says it's going to add 20 trillion over the next 10 years. I mean, this is the thing. We need to, we don't have the money no more. If you don't have the money in your personal house, what do? Well, inflation hit. Everybody had to sit there and tighten their budget, tighten their belt, okay? But no, we're just going to keep adding more to it. Yeah, where's the money going to come from? The thing is, when people realize our money ain't worth anything, then all the hurt's going to come. What new budget are you referring? Who told you the 20 trillion? Anyway, well, I heard it on mainstream media news, so I don't know, because they were talking about how bad it was. The thing is, debt. I don't care if you're adding $10 to the deficit. It's wrong, because you're taking from the American people. And now we're never going to be able to pay it back. Never. So what's the end game here? Mira, some of these names I can't read. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here. Hit that like and subscribe. But we're talking about the budget. I'm sick and tired. If you were to live your financial life like the government does, you'd be thrown in jail. Flat out, because you'd be scamming people, printing worthless money. You'd be thrown in jail. But our politicians, we just allow. This is all going to come to hurt us. I mean, it costs so much more now to live. I have no debt, thank God. Okay, I live pretty cheap. What's the journalism, bro? Trust the journalism, bro. I don't know, I grew up with Walter Cronkite, watching him every night on TV, CBS News, and that's the way it is. I didn't even know Walter Cronkite was a Democrat liberal. But, that's when we got the news, okay? I don't even watch the mainstream media. I listen, when I'm going to work, the rancher's got the radio set on AM, and that's what I listen to, and I get to listen to the news. Walter did bad touch. But anyway, all this debt, we're borrowing. If we're going to pay this off, you're talking about 100 years from now, they may finally, if we tighten the belt, they may pay it off. I mean, we could sell everything in this country, and it still wouldn't pay off the debt. Okay, this is how I determine how rich a man is. This is how I do it, okay? If you sold everything you had today and you had to pay off your debt, how much money would you have in your pocket, or would you still owe money? Okay? Everything I got, I own. I don't have no liens or nothing like that. I mean, I live off of $600 to $700 a month, plus my rent. Okay? But I'm not going to get caught in this thing where the government wants you making more money. I've had jobs where I was making good money, but you get punished. You get punished for succeeding. Overtime. Yeah, if he ever gets to the time when he's going to stop taxing overtime, I wish he would have stopped taxing overtime when he was in office and I was making $20,000 a year in overtime. I wish he would have thought of that then. No, they chopped that by 50%. You got punished for being successful. And the more stuff you buy, like a house and stuff, you get punished even more. You're just looked at like a dollar bill. I'd rather have nothing or next to nothing. What I mean by nothing, I got horses and, a truck. I'm set. But I'm not going to sit there and worry about that new boat. I'm not going to worry about somebody saying, oh, you need it now. I'm the type of guy, if I want something, I save up for it and I buy it with cash. I'd rather wait than I lived that life. I lived a life where I was in debt when I was in the service. And one night, playing bingo, I won $22,000. And I paid all that debt off, and I've been a cash man ever since. And, I don't understand people that pay $1,000 just to look at the car in the driveway and they haven't even drove it yet. Okay? At least with the house, you're having something, I was making my house payment. Yeah, I was paying interest, but the value of the house was going up. So I was making money. But then you're still punished with taxes. I mean, when you're paying $400 a month just between insurance and taxes to own your house, you're renting your house from the government. Anyway, next time I own a piece of property, it'll be like my first piece. I'll have a camper on it, nothing with a foundation, everything's cool. You got punished for succeeding, dude. You don't understand how taxes work. 50% tax rate has never been a thing in the U.S. I'm just, I'm not going to chase the almighty dollar bill. I refuse to. I mean, budget. Okay, we're spending over $1 trillion in the Department of Defense. Obviously, we don't have peace on the agenda. There's war, okay? Like I say, we need to tighten our belt. There's a lot of cabinet positions we don't need. For instance, Department of Agriculture. Oh, now we got the government in the tractors and in the semis with people or their combines. Department of Transportation. Now we got people in the semis with these people. Department of Education. Now we got the governments in school. Department of Health and Human Services. Now we got them in your house. And this is all costing money. You're paying for your tyranny. What do you do for a living? Actually, if you watch some of my shorts, I'm a cowboy. I've done lots of things, but I like cowboying. And I go to these ranches and I'd always get stuck doing the fencing out in these pastures because they couldn't get nobody to do it and I do a really good job and I enjoy going out to the pastures and being out there in the middle of nowhere. And, I got job security, so I started my own little business and advertised myself to work for ranchers to put up fence, and I charge by the acre. And I'm my own boss, and they're so happy they have somebody get it done, and I have plenty of job security, believe me. I put a $15 ad on the website, and I got a year's worth of work in about a week. Peter Snyder, hi, how's it going? So, and now I'm out at a job now. I was going to work Saturday, but we're going to get rained out. So tomorrow I'm leaving and I'm going to go enjoy my Memorial weekend. But that's what I do. I want to live a humble life, a low-key, humble life. I've always been told I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. Not that I'm stupid. It's just I don't need frills and spills and, I don't need the newest gadgets to keep me entertained. I don't need none of that. And when you can let go of that and not be in debt and and that's another thing, not being in debt, I can sit there and live the life I want. Do ranchers usually want 5-strand barbed wire or something else, depending on, I tell you what, no rancher wants the fencing done the same way. And this is another thing I'm learning. Okay. This guy I'm with now, I actually had a little heated conversation with him because I got tired of it. Okay. Some people want you to fly through there as fast as you can. Just make sure the cows come in. And some guys are so nitpicky, 6 strands of barbed wire. Oh, I'm telling you, it's crazy. So it all depends on who the customer is. You gotta be flexible. But the thing is, I do a really good job. Oh, hello, sir. Last time I missed you live chat accidentally and then couldn't find you. How are you? Not too bad. Yeah, YouTube's hiding me. YouTube is not having a very good time with me. Okay? I don't understand this silencing people. Just turn the knob. But if somebody wants to come to YouTube and hear something that I have to say, especially after you've been here, and they unsubscribe people, I mean, my analytics are crazy. Like I lose views and it's crazy. But I understand YouTube. Okay. See, this is the thing about social media platform. And people say, why are you at YouTube? You should go to X or something. That's just an echo chamber. It's just another social media platform with the bias of the owner that controls the algorithm. And if I go to an echo chamber, I don't want to talk in an echo chamber. I want to talk to people. I want to get along with everybody. I want to have a debate. I don't want to have an argument. Do you see an air compressor for your post pounder? Dude, it's all by hand. Pulse hole digger all the way. Old fashioned. I don't have a problem getting my hands dirty. I enjoy it. I'm weird, okay? I don't mind manual labor, but it's all post, it's all by hand. The only thing, if you watch some of my shorts, I'm in a side-by-side, okay? Because you can't travel this ground in a pickup. This ground, the sand hills in Nebraska, there's some interesting territory there. Anyway, aren't you the one who doesn't like technology? Yes. I don't need it in my life. Technology is great and some people need it. I don't need it in my life. Like I say, my retirement plan is living next to a stream in a dugout with my horses and my dogs. Living like, if you ever watch YouTube, Twin Lakes, Nebraska, Twin Lakes, Alaska, the Dick Pernicke story. That's why I want to live, except I want to have horses and dogs. He did it in Alaska. If you don't need one of them, why are you using technology? Oh, why am I on YouTube? I went out to the ranch, the one I was at, and I was kind of waiting for stuff to get crazy and there'd be, my bug out, worked and lived in my bug out location. And Oliver Anthony came out with that song, and I felt guilty for hiding away. I felt that I should be doing more than that, like YouTube and events. But I felt like I needed to do more. Okay, I couldn't just sit there and hide out, and wait, and I just want to help spread the word. Something jarred in me. Now, what I would like to do on YouTube, I don't want to do this stuff. I don't want to be bringing on all this political stuff. I like to do a wild, like Wild Kingdom as we were growing up. I had a wildlife, Lone Wolf's Wild Kingdom. Especially when you live out here where my other channel got canceled. But there was some interesting stuff. Lots of wildlife out here. And I like to do, I don't know if anybody ever watched Red Green show, but I like to sit there and produce and direct something like, there's lots of things I like to do on YouTube besides talk about stuff we all need to be concerned about. And that's the thing with this budget. It's going to affect everybody. It ain't going to matter what political party you are. He didn't say that he lives a simple, menial lifestyle. Without technology, he can't reach worldwide from the comfort of sitting at home. I don't know. I was affected a lot when I was in the Marine Corps and I traveled the world. And, we did whatever we did. It affected me in a way where I hated money. I saw what money did. It just affected me in a way. And then, in the military, my last 4 years, I was qualified to solder stuff that went on the space shuttle. I had my electronics degree. I lived that life. And when I got out of the service, and I just did a lot of high-tech stuff in the service. And then I got out in the civilian world and had my mad scientist cubicle and stuff. But I'd rather sat in jail for 8 hours a day than go to that job. I made good money. But also did the work of 4 people. Rewrote some of their systems. I just decided, to be done with that part. I don't like technology no more. It's just, with AI, we're trying to make AI's machines smarter. Are there tornadoes where you live? I'm sorry, I haven't watched the chat. Well, yes, there are. I didn't think, when I was out at the other ranch with the hills and stuff, because the ground's not level. I didn't think we could have tornadoes out here. I'm from Minnesota. I've been through food tornadoes. But yeah, the last couple of years, the weather's been kind of wild, you might say. So, where were we at? Boy, I lost my train of thought already. Woo! Okay. Coming back to, anyway. Rusty, he said at a time, however, even simple lives need to use technology. Some browsing is technology. Technology is good. Okay, my kids back in 2016 and stuff, my kids see me on YouTube now, they can't believe it because it just wasn't me. I actually have a computer, and eventually when I get enough money together, I'm going to have a nice studio and stuff. But I like the simple life. That's why I can't keep a woman. I have a wringer washer that was made in the 50s that I use to wash my clothes. And I hang them out on the line. Sad to say, Amanda, I believe the end is close for all of us. Yeah, so do I. The thing is, if we don't get along as a people real soon and stop spending all this money we don't have on war, yeah, things are going to get really bad. Amanda, if you want, you can go to my other channel, which is Lone Wolf Prepper Lives, all one word, and that's Lone Wolf Prepper Lives, at Lone Wolf Prepper Lives, and that's my prepping channel. Oh, yeah. Things are going to get ugly. This is the thing. This is what I saw when I went overseas. You don't go overseas and get to see the good things in the world when you're in the service. Unless I guess you're stationed somewhere. But when you're out floating on a ship, waiting for the next hot spot to flare up, you don't get to see the good parts of the world. And this is the stuff that's coming here. I wish I didn't know and see what I did when I was, what I did before I was 21 years old is crazy. And how you go from a little farm boy in Minnesota to leaving for boot camp 3 days after you graduate high school to basically 2 years later being like, holy shit, this is how the world really works. You're going to be affected by it. That's why a lot of us vets don't understand the American, when first time I came back to the States. Do you have kids? Yes. All girls. 5 girls. I never had a boy. That's why I got all the gray hair, because all I have is girls. So don't ever tell me that boys are worse than girls. Anyway, but oh yeah, kids are something else. But anyway, it's just things are going to get nuts. They're pushing for it. I made a short, when the government wants war, the government's got to stage a false flag. When the people want a war, they just need an excuse. So, but if you go to my prepping channel, you understand. But my other prepping channel got taken down. Boy, I see we got some people here tonight. Boy, if you'd like to hit the subscribe and like button and share the videos, please go through my shorts. You'll enjoy my shorts. Some are entertaining and some are thought-provoking, and some may just piss you off. Anyway, but we need communication. And that's one thing if we could all get together and realize who the real enemy is, it's not your neighbor. It's the person telling you your neighbor's your enemy. And we could take our country back. I mean, I don't even know if we take our country back, how we're going to pay this debt off. I mean, could you imagine making $100,000 a year and being in debt $1 million, $10 million, $100 million? I just don't understand why we're doing this. You said, please go through my shorts. I'll politely decline to go through. Okay. Yes, I'll keep my pants on. I like that. See, that's humor. I like that. I want to make people laugh too. It's so nice to get a comment that makes me laugh instead of, people are so angry out there. How are you going to fix a problem if you want to attack right away? If you're talking to somebody on the street and they say something you don't like, you attack them if you're face to face? Okay? But I guess if you're not face to face, you can. We're never going to come together. And the government's going to completely just take over control. Spy it on us. I mean, it's just getting bad. Well, I subscribed. I got to go. It's been good chatting. Have a good night. Well, thank you, Rusty. Rusty Nail, I like it. But we need to get the word out. We need to all get together. If we all got together, why we weren't allowed to go in debt so many years ago and Reagan got so much crap in '83? Because we are fiscal conservatives and Democrats back then. But since then, I guess that was the benchmark. If the country could survive over $1 trillion in debt on October 16th, 1983, I guess we could survive and just keep tacking it on. So that means in 42 years, I don't even know what the debt up to, 38 trillion now. So in 42 years, we added $37 trillion onto the debt. And our government's still in charge of our money. How unsafe does that make our country? I mean, people, you think you got money? You got a green piece of paper that somebody takes in exchange for something. Now, I'm not saying get rid of all of your money, but if you got some you can spare, I would try to buy something like I do that you can use for a long time. So it means you probably got to buy something that's older. It appreciates in value. Okay? Because when the scam is over and people realize money isn't worth shit no more, you're going to be just like that retired lady I saw whose husband died, and all she had was stock at Enron. She was a millionaire before that. Then it wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. You know, kind of like Saddam Hussein, after he fell, how much was his money worth? We're screwed. We've been screwed. Gonna stay screwed. Unless we do something. You think I want to spend my retirement years fighting a war? I definitely don't want to spend my retirement years being a financial slave. And people are just okay with it. They just, as long as they can go in debt to buy their next thing. I mean, the banks own everything. When this all comes crashing down and the banks want their money, they're going to take your stuff. Slave to society. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, not being in debt like I am, having the job I am, I can go anywhere in the United States. You know, I don't have my kids no more. They're all adults and stuff, raising their own kids. Doing good with my grandbabies. But, you know, I have the freedom. I'm not tied down like that. I just don't understand. I mean, I realize we all need money till the day we die. But I don't see the sense of trying to sit there and get so much in. You spend your whole life trying to get your bank account bigger so you can die with the most money in your bank account. I don't understand it. You can't take it with you. The Egyptian pharaohs proved that. We were thinking about buying property, but having second thoughts now. I'm 40 and have an 18-year-old and 5-year-old and 2-year-old. Is the property vacant or is it, does it got a house on? I tell you what, I'll never buy a house again because buying a house ain't a problem. Selling a house, oh my God, paperwork and stuff. But like I say, if I ever get a piece of land again, it's going to be like the first land I had. I'm just going to put a camper on it. Vacant. Start from scratch. You're 40, you got plenty of years, start from scratch. Put that 18-year-old to work. Build up something. So when you go by your place or you come up to your place, you know that's home. You know everything about it. We're in Georgia thinking about going to it. Yeah. Georgia. Oh, awesome. I like the Southeast. My first wife was from Florida, so I drove through Georgia a few times. But Kentucky, West Virginia. Some beautiful land down there. If you watch my shorts, we're a little bit more treeless and desolate. But, you know, just the thing is, once you put something on a foundation, you put a house on a foundation, that's when the government comes in. You got all these rules and regulations and bam, 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 bam. Now, me being, you know, single and not having my kids, like say, I'm just going to put a camper on it. Then it's, okay, this is example. My 10 acres I paid, I just had my camper on, $162 a year. And I lived there, had my horses there, had a well there, had electric there, had that all put in. I put the well in myself. But I found out I could witch for water. Witch for water, found the vein, got water. But anyway, $162 a year on that place I lived. Then I bought the 10 acres with my house on, both 10 acres. But that was $2,500 a year in taxes. Okay. And I'm not going to, it's not like I need, frills. And it's just I got the house because I had to sit there and didn't like cash. So I put my money somewhere where that was going to go up in value. So it was like, when you start having money, you got to start putting it places. Some people are meant to be poor and some people are meant to be rich. I'm happy being a poor person. That's why if I ever dated somebody that had money, I'd have to say, fine, you just got to let me be poor. I don't know, like I say, you got to let me use my ringer washer. Got to let me drive my 91 3/4 ton Ford. Okay? I have to live the simple life. I work my ass off, but I don't see the sense of the hustle and bustle. They always have that show Survivor, right? Throw me on a desert island, I'm going to be great. You want to do a Survivor show for people like me? Throw us in the middle of New York City. We'll be begging to get off that show. Ford, I'm out. No, I got my 91 3/4 ton Ford with the 460. I got Strictly Cycling. He gets on me about having a gas guzzler, but on a ranch, that's a tool. Money is the root of all evil, I believe. Money is a necessary evil in today's world. And I choose to partake in the least amount of that evil as possible. That's why I concentrate on learning skills. So I can be completely independent. Well, I am completely independent from the system if I had to be. But, when I got out of the Marine Corps in 1994, I went in 1985. And yeah, I came home on leave and stuff. But I never really came home, you know what I'm saying? You never really, when you're in that stuff, it's like you never really see the world for how it's changing. And then I get out in 1994 with Clinton in office. And it's just like, bam. It's like I went through a time warp. It's like it was the day after I went into service. It was really weird. I did read phenomenon about that from other military guys, and then I get out, right, and tractors have 12 tires on them. It's just like I went through a time warp. And then I saw all the change that the country had gone through in that 8.5 years. Bam! I started prepping, so I've been prepping for 31 years. Preparing for the time to come. Common sense is strong with this one. We need more like you in education systems. So true. Yeah, well, the thing is, when we got educated, our teachers cared. I got taught by teachers that went to college and went to school before the Department of Education existed. So we got real educations. I always say my 4th grade education was equal to a high school diploma these days. And my high school education diploma was equal to at least a 4-year college degree. And then I have education after that. But my teachers cared. And I made them earn their damn money. If I would have applied myself more going through school, my life probably would have been a little easier. But my teachers cared. And they did their job. And they educated me no matter how much. Anyway, every teacher that I had in high school, I apologized to when I had been in the Marine Corps for a few years, when I woke up and became a man. And I thanked them for what they did for me because of how much they cared enough. They knew how much it was going to matter to me when I got out of school, no matter how much I get. Nowadays, they don't care. All they care about is getting more money. And we learned a lot more in school back then. We learned how to do our taxes. You know, a lot of the last half of the senior year was basically getting you prepared for the real world. Learn how to sell your stuff, sell yourself and stuff. But then again, I went in the Marine Corps 3 days later. But, you know, I learned a different style. But it was just, I feel sorry for kids these days. I mean, when I was working at the turkey barns, and the one lady who at the egg room that wrote on the board, she said she was going to be a elementary teacher, and she couldn't do math. Her writing was atrocious. And she was just stupid. But see, they'd never been told they're wrong. Now in days, they have to worry about shootings and drugs that terrify every day my kids go to school. If you know Paul Harvey, go to YouTube and go to Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil. On my other channel, I did a 2-hour dissertation on that 3-minute video. 3-minute, Paul Harvey. Go look at Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil. It was made back in 1965, 50 years ago. Listen to that. Okay? Yeah, that's another thing about schools. You know, when we went to school, we had rifles and shotguns and in the rifle racks of the pickup trucks that were parked at school. And we still had fights like normal people, but nobody ever thought about getting their gun and blowing the hell out of school. It's predicting today's world. Anyway, I'm not going to respond to that last one. Like I say, in the Marine Corps, I dealt with terrorism. I don't have no time for terrorists, pieces of shit, at all. Whether they be from a foreign entity, a foreign government, or our government. I don't have time for terrorists at all. Paul Harvey predicted today's world. Yeah. If I were the devil. Perfect prediction. The thing is, I like to know, how did he see that 50 years ago? Even about the schools. How? Because I graduated, 21 years after that was written, and we still didn't have that in the schools. Anyway. Everybody has freedom of speech in this country. Does everybody have freedom of speech in Palestine? Anyway, you would have guessed. Anyway. So that's one thing about my channel. I'm never going to stop anybody from their freedom of speech. Never. Okay, you want to come on my channel and be rude and insolent? The people that are like me are going to see that. Okay, I'm not going to have moderators, and YouTube gets on me about not having moderators. Okay, but I'm not going to give up somebody's freedom of speech. Heck, in the comments, they sit there and threaten my life. YouTube don't do nothing about that. Christ is king, you darn right. You darn right. That's all I got to say about that. On Sundays, on my thoughts of the day, when I do one on Sunday, I try to do a religious theme one. Bad mods will destroy a channel, but they will for other countries. Okay. I just don't want to silence anybody. If you want to get on this channel, you can say whatever you want. I was in the Marine Corps to protect not only the speech I agreed with, but definitely the speech I disagreed with. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say I can only say something that the government agrees with or my neighbor agrees with. Nowhere does it say that. And when you join the service, I joined to protect all Americans, no matter what nationality, color, thought process, gender, sexual preference, or anything. It was all Americans. And when we figure out that we're all Americans again, like that short I did today about America the Beautiful, we need to all start getting along. But I'm not going to fall into this trap where I'm supposed to hate somebody. You know, in the Marine Corps, I was taught to hate. What do you think all the chants you do while you're running and stuff are all about? So now that I'm out of the service, I don't have to hate no more. I'm not going to hate my neighbor just because he disagrees with me. The 30 idiots who commit suicide every day, not so brave. I don't understand that. Make America great again. Oil smart ass keeps scrolling. Okay. Yeah, you know, the thing is, what's going to make America great again? It's not Donald Trump. It's the American people bounding together, realizing who the enemy is, and doing something about it, okay? All I know is, you know, people are held to a different standard. Once I guess you get too much money or too much power, you're just allowed to get away with everything, anything. Well, this is supposed to be a land of laws, not a land of men, meaning that everybody's equal under the law and everybody's equally subject to the law. And it's not overruled by who you are or what you have. You know, the thing is, it doesn't matter what president is. The Democrats or Republicans, it's all the same. It's all the same. One may sit there and make you sound like you're a little freer, but you're not. We still got the FBI, the ATF. We got a department that regulates our Second Amendment. Nobody seems to have a problem with it. Anyway, this ain't the country that was founded by the founding fathers. And I don't care what anybody says. George Washington was still the greatest president ever in this country's history, ever. And the president that sacrificed the most. I mean, when he was in a position in the early winter of 1776, before Princeton and Trenton, before those two victories, in his situation that he had, he wouldn't have wished on his worst enemy. So don't tell me that, you know, Donald Trump, yeah, he took a bullet to the ear, but we are America first, not Israel first. You know, this is the thing. I've been to Israel. You know, trained with the Israeli commandos when I was there for 2 weeks. But the Israel that I saw in 1987 turned 20 years old there too. But the Israel that I saw in 1987 has been hijacked. Just like the United States that existed in 1987 has been hijacked. Okay? I loved Israel when I was there. I always said when I was there, the oldest person could walk down the darkest alley in the middle of the night and not worry about nothing happened to him. I used to walk around the streets at night and I would listen to him. You know, I don't know why I had better hearing and stuff back then, but just walk in the neighborhoods. And it felt so safe. The Bible is being fulfilled and we speak just my opinion. Oh, yeah. I don't understand how the Lord puts up with us to begin with. He's got to have more patience. You know, I don't know how he puts up with it, but yeah, human beings are self-fulfilling their own prophecy. You know, humans got to destroy everything they touch, including ourselves. It's going to be right. Completely destroy ourselves. I just don't understand. We got a few people here. I'd like if hit the like and subscribe and share the content if you like it. Watch my shorts, trying to get the channel to grow. I appreciate it. You know, just one man trying to get his opinion out. Maybe we can save Armageddon. Maybe I can save so I don't have to spend my retirement years fighting a war. That would be nice. They say if we all bond together, say hi, subscribe. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody being here this evening. Anyway, but this country, I mean, all this debt. And then what do you see on YouTube? All I see is these commercials about how you're supposed to get your new government spending card or whatever like that. I'm so sick of those commercials. For one thing, I know we ain't got the money. It's got to be a scam. And maybe people, if they were less dependent on the government and more dependent on themselves, we wouldn't need all these government programs. And subscribers, please, we need to get the word out. We all need to get along. Because the thing is, once this all blows up, okay, and everything gets nasty, everything we argue about now is going to seem minute. It's going to seem like it doesn't even matter. Because the division they have sowed in us, it just ain't going to matter. The stuff we argue about now, and that's one thing, I'm not going to get an argument about somebody about the stupid stuff. When I get somebody on my feed that starts, getting obnoxious, I kill them with kindness. I'll beat them with logic, okay? And I've got a few that acted that way, and now they're subscribers. There's no reason why we can't get along. We're all human beings. Just because I live a little different or think a little differently than you doesn't mean I can't get along. I've been in a room with a lot of rich men and got along just fine, as easy as I did in a room full of a bunch of poor men. Or black, or white, or Indian, it didn't matter. We believe in a higher power entity. Well, I just, everybody has their purpose in life, and I feel I'm serving my purpose, okay? I follow God. I am, religious, but I don't push it on other people. God don't want you to come to the church being dragged to church. He wants you to come to church on your own free will. Okay, if you got to constantly talk to somebody about religion, they're not ready. God wants you to come to him when you're ready to accept him. Nobody's going to accept anybody they're forced to accept. Whether it be another human being, heck, another animal, or a religion. Praise Allah. I believe in God. You can believe in whatever your higher power is. So you have morals. You have ethics. You don't want to do harm to others. You want to be a better person tomorrow, today than you were yesterday. That type of stuff. Do good deeds for people. Try to realize that everybody has freedom of choice. And nobody's choice should upset you unless it's affecting you in some way. But if you're making it affect your life, well, that's something different. But everybody's got freedom of choice. I will never try to take away somebody's freedom to choose on their own to decide what they want to do. Okay? Or their life. Well, sometimes it has to be done, right? Especially when stuff's going to get crazy. But freedom of choice. Your right to pursue your happiness. Who am I to sit there and take that away from you? Who am I to sit there and say you're wrong? My way's better. You got to do it my way. And that's what you get on YouTube a lot. People that disagree with you, your way's better for you. I would never, I can't keep a wife. Nobody likes living like I do because I live a very simple, poor man's life. But I'm happy. You know, people see me riding my horses and stuff and say, that's the happiest man I've ever seen in the world. If you need all these bells and whistles to make you happy, that's fine. I don't. I'm not going to ridicule because you want that. But don't expect me to help pay for your lifestyle. You don't care about my dog's name. It's Mexican Giz, and I love him. Yeah, I got my 2 here. They go out fencing with me. Now they're out there all day long running to the pasture, and they come home and they crash till tomorrow morning when they're going to do it again. Yep. I like my dogs. Anyway, always have had a dog. So, but we all need to start getting along. Anyway, I'm almost gone an hour. Anyway, start talking about the budget, God, and how this country's going to fall apart, how we all need to get along. Like I say, when this country collapses, it's going to affect all of us. No matter what political persuasion you're on, it's going to affect all of us equally. You start thinking about that, thinking, well, it's only going to affect the Republicans or the Democrats. You know, the thing is, it doesn't matter who's in office. We'll all keep going in debt, spending money we don't have. Doge, okay? We have Doge. Elon Musk, have you figured out you've been used? Did you figure it out? If you're finding all this fraudulent spending that nobody's getting charged for, okay? Should their taxes be going down? Should the deficit be going down? Okay? I just feel there's a rift between Elon Musk and Trump right now because Elon Musk feels he's been used. You know, Elon Musk, this is the way I feel about how he got so attracted to the Trump campaign. Okay? Imagine walking into a room and being always the smartest and richest person in the room. Imagine that. And therefore, imagine that for a minute, you're that person that walks in and sees how you observe the room before you walk in and people just mingling with each other. And you want to be that person that can just be in that room nonchalantly just mingling with everybody. You want to fit in. Be a normal person instead of who you are. And that's the feeling I think he got. But what became of it? More deficit, more money printing. I'd rather fit out. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I say, my other channel is called Lone Wolf Prepper Lives, at Lone Wolf Prepper Lives. That's my prepping channel, okay? Lone Wolf tells you right there, okay? Believe me, I won't be in a mag. I got my horses and stuff. I've been planning to be a lone wolf for many, many, many years. And especially out here where I live. I mean, you got one person for every 20 or 30 square miles. One person for every 20 or 30 square miles. You pretty much live a lone wolf style anyway. You assume too much. These guys respect each other. Things that Dodge are doing takes time. Takes time. How much time do you have to get something done when the government requires you to do it? I want to see some actions. I want to see some arrests from the Epstein files, the Epstein list. I want to see some action. I want to see this country needs to live within its means. If you can't, like I do, I live a cash life. If I don't have the money, I don't buy it. How hard is that? I mean, imagine if the government had a regular bank account like you did, and you decided on $100,000 salary, you're going to sit there and write $10 million in bad checks in one day. Anyway, whatever. But, I don't see no action. If we want to fix it, if we're going to put all our faith in Trump, we need some action. That's valid, your word for it. That's what we're for. We need to see some action for the American people. I mean, to God, they put a bullet through your ear. We're not even getting the truth about that. Anyway, I'm sick of the talk. I may be here on YouTube talking the talk or whatever. I don't want to be the tip of the spear. But when it comes time for me to fight to ensure that my kids and my grandkids can live the same life that I did, free to think what you want to think, free to express yourself and not be shut up, okay? And then people want to put a chip in their brain. Oh, then your thoughts will become criminal. But when it comes time for that, yeah, I'm up for it. I'm a jarhead. You got darn right. I fought overseas. Why the hell wouldn't I fight on my own land for my own constitution, which I promised to defend? Anyway, when this all goes down, everybody that didn't think it was going to go down is going to be left hanging there thinking, oh my gosh, people were right. I mean, everything's got to flow the way it needs to flow, okay? And right now, shit's flowing downhill, and the river's getting pretty damn full, okay? We're kicking the can down the road. It's no longer a can. It's a 10,000-gallon gasoline drum that's got sticks of dynamite attached to it. How is that helping future generations? Isn't that the purpose for human beings, to ensure that the future generation has it better than we do? How the hell are they going to have it better when before they're even born, they already got debt? We're going up shit creek without paddles. I think we've already capsized, Amanda. It's crazy. And people will not wake up. They'd rather sit there and listen to a politician tell them to be mad at their neighbors because their neighbors causing all their problems. They're looking at the person that's taking all their money. That's one thing. When you make a lot of money, you pay a lot more in taxes. It's just punishment. Punishment. And then you pay all that in taxes, and then I don't know what kind of list you get in when you make a higher salary, but all of a sudden you start getting these charity calls from the fire department and police department and stuff. You know what my answer to them is? Well, I give to charity every month to the government. You go talk to my congressman and tell him you need some more of my money. I give to charity every month. If I'm giving money to people to sit on their butts, I'm giving charity, okay? That's another thing. When you go out and you get busy every day and you accomplish stuff, you start getting a self-esteem. And somebody who has a self-esteem and knows they can accomplish stuff and, get the energy and the ambition to do it, they're not going to be on the system much longer. And then when you don't get on the system and you become an independent person, have an independent life, like you say, you go to bed a liberal and you wake up a conservative. The first time you get a paycheck and you get that paycheck and you paid those taxes, and then you realize why everybody was upset with you. And it gives you a sense of worth. Everybody needs a purpose in life. And if you're just going to sit there and require somebody else to make your way through life, you have no purpose in life. And that's where you just kind of fade into the normal daily routine. I don't know what it is, but you go out and accomplish something. You build your self-esteem up, build yourself up. So what's your purpose? I haven't figured that out yet. My purpose right now is to do God's work, serve God, go wherever He wants me to go, meet people, be myself. Okay? Okay? I always thought serving my fellow man was better than serving myself. Always thought that. That's why I joined the service. You know, you don't join the service to become rich. Fair answer. The ghost of the DNC doesn't know it's dead yet. Let me tell you something. Why can't we have a strong Democratic Party again? This is one thing this country needs. 2 strong political parties. So one political party doesn't get too much power and influence. It keeps the other party in check. But they still both need to follow the Constitution. But right now, when the Democrats have an abortion van behind the convention and all the stuff they stand for now, I mean, it's turning people off. You know, they say there's black fatigue, okay? There's LGBTQIA plus fatigue. We're just sick and tired of getting stuff crammed down our throats. It doesn't matter what color or nationality. Stuff down your throats that you don't agree with, okay? You don't have to be white just to agree with me. Any skin color or nationality will agree with me, because I found out in my travels people are the same. The core human being is the same, okay? So, anyway, it's just crazy. I guess the only thing that's passed on from generation to generation is hate, isn't it? And this world's full of it. But like I say, I'll sit out here and do my fencing, and I won't be part of it. I'm not going to sit there. I'll sit out here with a Mountain Dew and popcorn in my hand and watch the world blow itself up before I'm going to get angry and play the game that these people want me to play. Okay? I'm not doing it. And when people realize that they don't have to listen to these people, okay, they're not even following the Constitution. The Constitution they're not following the Constitution. They're not giving you a fair shake, and they're just robbing from you. These taxes are crazy. Anyway, I'm going to have to get off of here tonight. I didn't realize I'm already at an hour and 10 minutes. I sure do appreciate everybody being here, though. Like and subscribe and share the videos. Check out my shorts. See who I am. I have nothing to hide. Pretty simple person. Pretty basic. And I don't have time to hate no more. Okay? Well, it's nice to meet you too, Amanda, and have a good night. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody being here. I had a good live stream tonight. Everybody have a great time. And I'll do a live stream tomorrow night. So, and I hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend. That's, to remember what the weekend's for, and maybe we can have peace so we can have a peace day again, like I say, a day of peace. So anyway, everybody have a great night. This is Tom. I am out.